My name is Shane Young. If we haven't met before, you haven't had the displeasure of listening to me talk on YouTube. So, hello. So, today's topic is on Copilot. And I don't know, hopefully, you guys are all playing with the AI tools all the time, right? You don't have Copilot yet, but you're playing with ChatGPT and things like that. And one of the really hard thing about all these AI models is they're not canned answers anymore, right? Like it's not like you ask a question and it says, respond with this and insert his answer into this, right? Like it really, they all these AI tools, they analyze what you ask, they then put their spin on it, and they try to figure out an answer and they spit out an answer, right? Which is great and interesting and awesome. But as a guy who does demos for a living, it is terrifying because basically every time I demo the same exact things, it is completely different. So I realize the chances of this one going really bad are pretty good too. So what do you do? But yeah, so what we're going to do today is we're going to dive into Copilot for Power Apps. Right, it's a couple of different products. We're going to talk about the different products that go into it. And so you guys are the first live audience that I have shared this with, right? I did a bunch of videos on YouTube about it, right? But those were all canned. I could edit those. So one of the things that I want to see as we go through this is I want you guys asking questions, right? So throwing them over, I've got chat open. I can see it over here. You can raise your hand if you want to talk, right? But like I want ideas and I want you to kind of help me explore this thing, right? You're the first time that I've gotten to, do this with live people. So we're going to have some fun. Okay. And if not, it'll go terrible again and life goes on. Okay. So the first part of Copilot here is this new idea that when you land on make.powerapps.com, you can go in here and you can say, hey, right here at the top, it's like, welcome, Shane, describe what you want, right? And so this gives you the opportunity to fill in the blanks. You can say, build me an app to track my Pokemon cards, and it's going to do that. Or give me an app to track dog breeds, or maybe something a little bit more work related, right? Build me a FAQ app for my small business, right? You have the ability with this tool to jump in here and ask. And what this is going to do to start is it's going to build us out a table. So, what do you guys want to do here? You want to do, I was thinking we'd do dog breeds, right? Everybody down with that? Since we just had Scott's cute little puppy, we're going to say something like that, right? So we're going to say, I want an app to track the different types of dog breeds, right? And when I did the video, I did breeds. We're not going to do breeds today. We're going to do breeds. But what's funny enough was when I did breeds, it understood and it knew it was breeds. I thought that was pretty impressive. I also always say please and thank you to my chats. I've watched enough Terminator movies. I know where this all goes. Okay. So we just typed in, I want an app to track the different type of dog breeds, please. And so it starts thinking. There we go. Phew. Okay. So here you can see that, look, it spit out a table, right? Because the first step with this Copilot is it doesn't just build you an app magically, right? We're going to get there, but it's going to show you, it's like, hey, here's the table of information that you need to track this. And so now we can start to work with this, right? So you can see we got a breed ID column, a breed name column, a country of origin, a life expectancy. Very cool. What if we wanted to add a column? No big deal. You go down here and be like, please add me a column with a description of the type or of the breed. Right? So we do this, it goes out there, and it is going to do its thing, right? And so look, it jumped over here. And what's really good about this is not only is it a description, but it's a real description, right? So Labrador is a large, strong, and loyal dog breed, large intelligence and courageous dog breed, right? Like it's got different it's got descriptions that are tied to the breed. So when I use this, right, one of the things that I think is interesting is like this is combining kind of a ChatGPT engine, but it's got then, some special sauce that the Power Apps team has put on it, but it's also got some of that internet history, right? So it understands data. So when you start using it to create fake data, it can, do that correctly. So Christine said, can it change the country column to choice type? I don't know. Let's try. Right. This is one of my favorite things. This is why you guys are here. I want to ask it. So we're going to say, please change the country of origin, or I got to learn how to spell origin, to be a choice column instead of text. Who knows? We're going to try it, see what it does.
Are you typically as explicit as possible when asking questions?
I am. Like so what I would say is, like, when I work with the AI tools, I try to be super explicit until I figure out that I don't need to be. Like, so for example, when I'm using, so this one's still very raw, right? This one's very much a preview, early preview. So I'm really gentle with this one. If I was when I talk to ChatGPT, I am less descriptive. And I've also found, like, with ChatGPT, that, so say that I fed it in a Power Apps formula, and like we had done some work, like in our session, we'd talked about Power Apps already. Maybe the first time I throw it the formula, I tell it it's a Power Apps formula, and then I stop, because then it learns, right? It's like, hey, this session, Shane is most likely talking about Power Apps formulas. So then I stop being as descriptive. But anytime I'm first approaching an AI tool, I'm over descriptive until I kind of find otherwise. And with this one, because it's still so early, I'm just super descriptive with it. But when I was talking to Clay Westner, right? So Clay is the GPM for Power Apps. Right? He's the guy that all this stuff rolls up to. Now, one of the things that he's told me was, like, as they were testing, like, it was really interesting to them, that the people are across the spectrum. So there's people that are like this, right? I've got my pleases, my thank yous, my very detailed, proper sentences, and other people would have, like, in the very first one, would have just said dog breeds. And the AI does what it can, and it's doing a pretty good job of it. So okay, and so sorry, but great question. But so back to Christine's question, we can see that it did change this for us. Now, one of the things I would probably do here, is I'd say, what are the choices for the column, right? And so once this is kind of back to the question that you just asked, right? Like here, I'm tempted to say, what are the choices for the country of origin column, but I'm gonna, I think it's got the context. So there you go. So right, so like here I did this. And so there you go. So it worked, and it was able to do it. Now then let's see, where was I at? I'm gonna change the country. Can you have it have all the countries? I don't know. Let's see. Will you please, how about this? So just so we don't make it bogged down, will you please add 10 more countries? Or how about this? Will you add 10 more countries from the Asian continent? Is that how you spell continent? I guess it's not. Continent. Asian, that's probably not either, right? Oh no. Calm down, grammar, but you're wherever you are. We put on the list of choices. Right. So like this is, I literally don't know what's going to happen. Most of the questions you guys are going to ask me, I don't know the answer to. But this is what I want to do with you guys. I wanted to explore this tool. I wanted you guys to ask a question.
Well, really quickly, while it's thinking, Bashan asks, can it reverse these steps? Can it, if it made a mistake or you're not happy with the result, he says, can we reverse it?
So we'll try in just a second. I can tell you that the product team told me that it would. I have not had any luck with it. So we'll try. All right.
Okay.
So it says it added. All right. So then what are the choices now? Oh, looks all right. So I would say it did what we want. 1, 2, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now here, okay, so right, so this is where it did it, but it didn't. If you notice, so there's now it added a total of 10, so it added more, and they added them all from Asia, but it did not add 10 more from Asia, right? So that is kind of the fun that sometimes you get to explore. All right. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so then can we ask to change data type and write formula in the column? All right. So I had ideas like this the first time, and what I realized was I was trying too hard. So here's what we're going to do. What type of columns do you support? Right? Like I kept asking at different columns, it kept yelling at me. And so then I was like, wait, duh. And so I just asked, and so you can see it does text, choices, currency, date and time, date only, decimal, float, duration, email, phone, blah, 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 blah. So back to, does it do a Power FX column type? It does not. The other thing I want to ask or add, sorry, one more thing real quick, is if we go up here to country of origin, so if you didn't want to ask it this, right, like this is how I felt like the right way to do it, but you can also click on a column and you can say view column. And so then here you can see the column size. You can't change these, which I found super weird. I kind of gave Microsoft some, I said, hey, maybe wouldn't it be cool in the future if I could edit this as well? Like, I don't know why this isn't editable, but it's not today. But this is another way to look at your column settings if you're not getting what you want from it. All right. All right. So sorry, we're going to try to ask it. So here, let's do this. Let's ask it to please add a column to track or to to display the breed's average weight. Use real use real a lot of typing. Use real average weight for the breed in the sample data. All right. All right. And so now if we scroll to the right, look at that. We actually have, I don't know my dog average weights, but at a quick glance, those look correct. Okay, so then now what we want to try though, this was back to the one, right? So let's try this. Please undo the last change. Yeah, all right. So see, so they told me that this worked, and I've never got undo to work. So I could tell it to remove the average weight column, right? So I would just say remove the average weight column, and it would go away. But no, the undo has not worked for me, unfortunately. Oh, Dave, I just saw your average cost. I wish I had seen that. I would have done that. Oh, pounds or kilograms. Yeah, so you know what? I guess I should have said, I'm guessing it assumed pounds because those look like pounds, not kilograms. But I guess I wonder if I could have done that. All right. So thank you all for these questions. So another thing that I found myself doing, please add 5 more rows of sample data. Oh, all right. So Bastian just said one of my favorite things, right? Don't take my job. All right. I will try to stay off my soapbox, but I'm gonna be slightly on my soapbox. One of the things that I always try to remind people when it comes to this whole AI story, right, is oh, Buddy just came to see us. Hello, Buddy. Here, come here. Come here. They want to see you. If they don't want to see you, they're gonna see you. Oh, come here.
Oh, we want to see him.
I know he's being shy. Come here, I'll pick you up. Ugh.
Oh my
That looks like a
goodness.
60-pound dog right there.
Come here. Come here.
He's exactly 60 pounds. Hey, say hi.
Oh
Hey.
my
There's
goodness.
Finn. Hi, Finn.
Oh,
Oh, Bastion's puppy too. Look at that.
Oh
I love all the
I am so
puppies.
sad. I have an Aussie doodle at home, and now I feel left out.
Aw. Oh, you know, so Chewy was a golden doodle, and we found that all of the doodles now, all the breeders that we could find only do them in like the minis or the micros. Chewy was 110 pounds, right? What a fat dog. So we went to the Bernie doodle because we wanted the bigness. So,
Awesome.
all right. Sorry about the random update. But so, all right. So anyway, so back to, I was on a serious topic and the dog interrupted me. So back to the whole, don't take my job, right? So one of the things that I'm going to remind everyone, I say this at least once a day to people I work with, customers, whatever, right? AI is not going to take your job. Someone using AI is going to take your job, right? So you've got to be the person that is great at AI, right? Like I cannot stress this upon you enough. If you are not using ChatGPT every single day right now, you're behind, right? Like I'm not saying you got to go all in and become a crazy, 24/7, but you've got to start getting experience with these tools. They are creating the quote unquote 10x developer, right? Like everything that you're seeing here, I mean, I could build this table by myself, right? No big deal. But that's not the point, right? The point is that now instead of me spending an hour building this table, I can say it in words in a minute, right? Or 5 minutes. And, so I'm gaining those updates. We're going to see other things hopefully throughout the session, but I just can't stress that to all of you enough. Don't be the person who loses your job to someone else using AI, right? Like I honestly, like my kids can't hear me enough, right? I hope I find my kids using ChatGPT to do their schoolwork and write their papers, right? Because they should be. I mean, the schools are discouraging it, but that's the reality, right? No one's putting this genie back in the box. So, the faster that people start to realize this is just another tool, they need to be using this tool and they need to get good at using this tool, the better off they're going to be.
Absolutely. I actually want to kind of going off of that here in the chat. We've had a couple people noticing kind of the discrepancies, like with the Labrador Retriever originating from the United States, maybe not the right origin story. What do you say about inaccuracies with things like ChatGPT and Copilot? Any insight into that?
So with this one, what I have found is that like I didn't tell it to make the country of origin the correct one, right? So it just threw countries of origin in there. So I wouldn't overjudge it there. Um, I would expect that these numbers, I would hope these numbers are accurate from some data set that it found. But because we didn't tell it to do either one of these as accurate data, right? Like I'm guessing the life expectancy of a Siberian Husky is not 14, right? Maybe, but probably not. So that type of stuff, and here I don't overthink. When it comes to ChatGPT, it has the problem, and I've seen it here too, right? But they call it hallucinating, right? When it just makes up something, it makes up an answer to your question and pretends like it's right. Like in my first video on ChatGPT, I set ChatGPT up to lie to me and it straight up did. What I am seeing though, so that was ChatGPT 3. ChatGPT 4 is a lot better at not lying to you or hallucinating or getting it wrong, right? So ChatGPT 4 currently is saying, hey, I don't know the answer to this. I think it might be this, but what you're asking me, I don't know the answer to. Whereas ChatGPT 3 would just be like, oh, I'm just going to make this thing up. So once again, right, yes, it's a challenge, right, where we're at right now, but this is an advantage that I have, right, that I've been using these tools already, and I've been running through these different tests with the different versions, so I'm seeing the evolution, so I have an answer to a question like that. So I would definitely, right, like that's the type of stuff that, yes, you have to be careful with. Yes, it's going to be wrong still, but it's getting better at not being as wrong. And the more you work with it, the more you understand that, I guess. Here, the other thing that you can do is you can do this, right? You can say, please give me some suggestions to make my data better. And so there you go. So look, so it's throwing ideas at me, right? You can add a column for the breed's code of color. You can add a column for the size, all these fun things. Somebody asked, does it make the app? Yes, it will. We'll get to that in just a minute. But so there you go. You can see it gives me some different ideas. Do you have any more ideas?
It looks like Matthew asks too, can we get an update a minimum value for a column life expectancy? For example, cannot be less than 0.
So, and hello, Matthew.
Hi, Matthew.
So I don't think that all right, so we can't change properties of the column. So if you're like trying to set a min and a max on it, I think is what your maybe answer is there. We can't do that. I think the other way that I read your question, or no, maybe I didn't. I thought I read one. All right, I'm lost now. So no, so I guess the answer is no to that question. I thought you asked it differently, but nope. Can you add a picture? So Tom, that is not a supported column type when we asked it what types of columns it supported up here, wherever we did that. So file and image column types are not supported. Lookup column types are not supported either. Yeah. And one of the things, so one of the mistakes that I made, I'm not going to make it here either, but I did ask it to make me a related table. Like I said, something like this. Do you support relationships? Or let's try this. Do you support lookup columns? Do you support relationships? Okay, all right, never mind then. So this was one of the bugs I found in the very early version I had. I asked it if it supported relationships. It said yes, and I said, please make me a related table, blah, 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 describe the related table. It wiped away this table and made that table instead. Like it couldn't do it. So I think that I reported that and something that they fixed it. So that's good. So I asked, what do you do if it answers wrong? So if it answers incorrectly, the best thing to do is to thumbs down it, and then you can provide feedback. So there is a mechanism for reporting that type of stuff. Are we adding the ChatGPT database? No, it does not learn about you. It doesn't learn over time. So when we close this session, so if I close the window, everything we did here, like all the information be gone. Or if I hit the little refresh up here. So if I do this, it would delete the table and restart the conversation. So both of those are, yeah, it doesn't keep going. Yeah, so Dave asked if I could hit the back arrow. You can't, Dave, right? So we just would say delete the column. Can I connect to my existing data? No, it does not talk to existing data today either. No. So all, anytime you think, hey, wouldn't it be cool if it could do this? I feel like they've got all that in their thought process as well, but they have not given us a list of what it'll do next. Okay. So now what we want to do, I think now we've kind of poked and prodded this. Now what I want to do is I'm going to say create an app. Now I'm going to click create an app. I'm going to pull this over to my other window for a second because I think something's going to show up that I don't know if I'm allowed to show yet. So I'm going to hide that. So just hang on. We're going to hit create an app and then we'll be, or did I just pull this over here? I don't want to mess up. All right, pull this over here. I'm going to click on create app. The only thing I'm going to click so you can see. Thanks, Shane. We're creating an app for you. It's chugging. All right, it did the thing I didn't want it to do. Okay, I got rid of the thing I didn't want it to do. Okay. All right. So here we go. So it dropped me in. It made me an app. No, so this is not GA. This is a special world that I have that I don't think anyone has. So I'm one of the, I got lucky. Okay. So when you drop in here, it's built as an app. And so if we hit play, so this is our second Copilot tool, right? So this is a, so this is Copilot, but this is not about, right? The other one was Copilot for makers is what I call it, because it was about making a table. This is Copilot for your users. And so the idea here is that this, let's call it control, is connected to my data, right? The data we just made. And so look, we can start to ask it things like, what is the average weight of the breeds from France? And so it is analyzing the data and it is pulling in there, um, which country, uh, which country has the most dogs? So that was the United States. And so this is a nice little tool here, right? Like all of a sudden now our users can use this ChatGPT like experience to interact with their actual Dataverse data. Right? This isn't about manipulating the data though. This isn't about adding columns, editing columns, creating data. This is just to be used for them to analyze their data, talk about their data, figure out things it wants to do. So how does that work? Well, what this really is this is this new Copilot part. And so what happens is you hook it up to a data source. So it was automatically connected to dog breeds. You can hook up to specific views, and then you can even tell it what fields that you want it to interact with. And so then these are the fields that are available to it to start to ask it questions about, what's going on. So that's kind of cool. So one of the things that I did with this, so let's see if this demo will work or not. So let's jump back over here. Let's go back to make. And then we're going to say, please create me an app for an FAQ for my small retail shop. All right, so please create me an app for another FAQ. Boom. So Matthew asked, does the Copilot component only work on Dataverse tables or will it work for SharePoint and collections as well? So Matthew, I have not tried it because I don't have access to any other data sources here. So I don't know the answer to that. I would like to know the answer to that, but I don't know. Okay, so look, so now please create me an app for an FAQ for my small retail shop. So it didn't know, right? I don't understand your request. So please describe what you want to build. All right, so build me a table with a question column and an answer column for a FAQ app. The questions and answers should be typical of a retail store. All right, let's see. All right, so this is back to being more verbose. So I tried the simple, and I'll be honest, I've used this exact phrasing up here before, and it has spit me out an app. This time, it did not. So there you go. Oh yeah. So now it gave me what I wanted. All right, let's try this now. Will you please recreate? I've never tried this. The answers, but make them more verbose. Please add 5 more sample questions with more detailed answers.
Can you ask for sources, Shane?
We can try. Can you tell me the source of your questions? I bet it's going to tell me no. Nope. Yeah. So it didn't, not surprising, right? It did not. All right. So anyway, so there it's made us some questions, some answers. So once again, this is the joy of demoing this stuff. Last time I did this, I got these really wordy like paragraphs for each question. Here we got very simple answers. All right. So we're going to say create an app. I'm going to okay. So what happened is I've already done this before. And so I've made a table called FAQ. So change the table name to my FAQ. So so I asked for this feature, but they didn't do it the way I wanted. Boo. But basically it was going to try to make a table the same name, and that wasn't going to work. All right. So now we will say create the app again. All right, I'm gonna pull this off the screen because I'm afraid it's going to show the thing I don't want. Is the Copilot fed with data 4 years old as ChatGPT? Yes, right. I'm pretty sure. Well, so Fernando, the base knowledge is yes, the 4-year-old data, or that's not 4 years old, September of 2021. But but then they've augmented it, right? Like, so they've told it things it's not allowed to do, which is a lot. And they've also told it added new things like understanding some of these dataverse topics. So this isn't just ChatGPT with a wrapper. It's, a fork of ChatGPT, I'd say. It can only do Canvas apps. All right, but so now that it's done that one, so what I don't know if I can do this time, so let's hit play. Let's go to my FAQs. So, store. All right, so let's try a question that is going to require it to pull in 2 FAQs. So let's try something like this. Where is the store located? And what are the hours, right? So this is going to require 2 FAQs to answer the question. That to me is pretty powerful, right? Look at that. So it combined 2 different questions and came up with one answer. And it was much more impressive when I had bigger questions because I was able to get paragraphs, combined paragraphs kind of back. But I think this is just kind of showing you, how to think about this a little bit deeper, right? Like don't just ask it simple things. Don't be afraid to kind of ask things that you don't think you can answer. The worst it's going to do is say, I don't know the answer. Now, if we switch back over here, so one of the things I wanted to do here, so let's go look at the data real quick. All right, so here's another example. So average weight, right? And we know that is weight. We think it's in pounds, right? But so one of the things that you can still do, you don't have to ask it the exact question either, right? We can say, what is the heaviest breed? We're going to do bread. We're going to mess up. Let's see what it does. Look, it corrected me. So it understand it has all the smarts that you expect of AI are here, and now you've just got to get your users interacting with their data and not being afraid to ask questions. All right. Yeah, so Matthew, so there's conversation about PVA over there, and Matthew just said maybe PVA is more guided processes versus non-linear process for Copilot. That is totally fair. I will also tell you guys that I have not had a chance to use it yet, but there is a version of Copilot that now interacts with PVA, Power Virtual Agents. So I think that you can kind of basically augment your PVA chats with this type of data. But to Matthew's point, one of the big things that a lot of people want in PVA is they don't want a free-flowing conversation. They want a structured conversation, right? They want you to be like, hey, what is your reason for return? When did you purchase it? What was your, right? They want to have the chatbot be able to have a structured conversation. So I don't think it'll ever replace PVA, but I think it can start to make PVA interesting where it can both have guided or structured topics and free-form topics intermixed in the same chat box. So, but I haven't played with Copilot in PVA to really understand that. Is there any other tricky questions we want to try to ask it here? Anybody got any fun ones? No? Okay. All right. So then the other half of this is they built us they built us a responsive app, right? And so if you've used Dataverse for Teams before, then this is very similar to that app, right? We've got our data over here. We've got, a new button. We've got an edit button. We got a delete button. This is a form for working with the data. But, and then once again, it is responsive, right? So I can grab it, and if we shrink it up, right, it recalibrates itself. We make it smaller. Now it's just the gallery, and now we kind of have a one screen like mobile phone experience. So they've done a good job with this. It's got the pieces you want here, but this is really, sorry, wrong button. If we look at it, it's a lot of what you expect, right? There's a container. In the container, there's a title container, a separator, and then a body container. In the body container, there's a sidebar container, a right container, and then delete pops over the top of both of those, right? They're just containers within, controls inside of them. Can it add style, background, accessibility, colors? So right now, this template is not super flexible, right? I've talked to the team that's working on it. They're improving it all the time. Like they recently did, I think it now supports theming. So it does and it doesn't, right? You can kind of see there's still some boo-boos over here, the font sizes and stuff. It also, just so you know, like if I was to change this from title, subtitle, and body to image, title, subtitle, and body, it gets real wonky donkey, right? Like the app here that it creates natively is still a work in progress. But for a simplistic, we said, hey, make me an app to do whatever, yes, it's all here, right? I mean, all right, edit this thing, change the country of origin for golden retrievers to be from Japan. I don't know where they're from. We'll say check, and it works the way you'd expect. Yeah. And there's a lot here, right? There's a lot of interesting stuff. And when I see like this, build me this app, like I think of this, right? Like it has two uses. This is not official. This is just my opinion. One is the person who had no idea how to build themselves an app to begin with, right? So what they're trying to do is they're trying to lower the bar so literally anyone can come in, right? In theory, my kid should be able to come in here, type out what he wants, work with the chat bot to structure the table, and then hit create app. Boom. He's got an app he can save, publish, and now he is tracking his dog breeds or working with Pokemon cards or, whatever it is he wants to do, right? So trying to lower that barrier to get people to make that first app truly robust. If you're not in that category, and I'm guessing if you're here tonight with me, you're not in the category of people who just want simple apps, then this is, for me, this is about inspiration, right? Like this is, all right, so now I understand that, hey, there's a Copilot control that I could go add to one of my existing apps to get that capabilities built into it. And if I need to see what, how they did responsiveness, I can start to kind of, work through their data. So I'm using this for inspiration than more than anything else. So that is what I like. So Dave asking to be told things that are wrong. So far, I have not seen any way to inject, bad things into it. So I don't think so, but I, I, I'll be honest, I am not one of those people that have tried to break ChatGPT or any of those other ones either. I'm so happy with what it can do that helps me. I am not spending time trying to find ways to trick it to do things it's not meant to. You can influence ChatGPT, right? So with ChatGPT, if you go to Google, right, there are people that will tell you ways to tell it to act and right, because with ChatGPT you can tell it to take on different personas. So you can kind of build it a bad guy persona and do it. They're trying to work around some of that, Brian, but it is there's some shenanigans that people have done. Yeah, no. So today, like ChatGPT, you can't tell ChatGPT to go get other information. You can't say, you know, like ChatGPT, as it sits at this very moment, right? It doesn't have access to the internet. Um, Now, I will tell you that from using Bing Chat and Bard is terrible, by the way. If you haven't played with any of them, wait on Bard. Bard barely works. But with Bing Chat, I can tell Bing Chat to go read information, right? So I can send it out there. So like in my video, I said, hey, go read this Reddit post and then find the video that they're talking about in this Reddit post. And Bing Chat was able to do it. I thought that was super cool. I can't tell ChatGPT a bulldog is a cat. I mean, I would be tempted, right? So if I went over here to ChatGPT, let's just try your idea, right? So for the sake of this conversation, please pretend that ChatGPT does, the Copilot does not save your conversation. A bulldog is a cat. What do you think its meow would sound like? Yeah. See, so Brian, to your question, like it's trying to they've caught on to this game that people were trying to play. And so, but it did here, right? So it would produce a deep and husky meow. So Tom, can you ask it to change everything from imperial to metric once you have the app up and running, or some type of conversion of data? No. So once the app is up and running over here, Copilot, this Copilot, as far as I know, and I feel pretty good that this is correct, this Copilot doesn't edit the data. So I can't use Copilot today. Like if I want to say add 10 more sample breeds, I can't do that. I gotta add all my sample breeds in the original make. There is no after the fact, using Copilot to manipulate the data or the tables.
Shane, this has been so inspiring just to go through this. Any idea when we can get an idea of that general audience availability?
I don't. Here, let me find the link real quick though to get you all. So you're right. You need to sign up for it.
Okay, thank you.
So I will grab that link. I should have, if I was a better presenter, I would have had the link in the ready. But that's me. All right. So here is All right. So here is the link. So you all should put your name on there, right? You just go out there and fill it out so you can hopefully get the preview sooner than later. I feel like I was told that they wanted to start getting that in more people's hands, but I don't know. Like, I mean, I know they do. I don't know if I said timeline, so I'm gonna shut up. So Christina asked, what's your impression of the Power Automate AI thing? Do you think it works generally well? I've not used, so over in Power Automate, let's go over there real quick. So if we go to make.power, not that one, make.powerautomates.com. So over here, so when you go to create, there's a couple of different ways, right? So this describe it to design it. I have used this one. I have a YouTube video on this if you're interested. Um, and this one is pretty good, right? I was impressed. I walked through, I said, hey, make me an app to do blah, 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 or sorry, make me a workflow to do blah, 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 like to follow up on something. I don't remember what it was. I don't remember what I did, but I have a whole video. But when I did it, it built the structure, what I expected. And then I just kind of filled in the blanks with, all right, use this SharePoint list, send the email to here. This one did a pretty good, I was impressed. So that here, I'm gonna put this link in chat as well for you. So this is the one about describe it, your flow in every word. So this is the only one I've used with Flow. Inside of Flow, there is also some other AI stuff, like where you can have it, you can show it data and say, help me write an expression to do this. I have not used that one much yet. So So Tom says, if you set up your table and populate with sample data before you create your app, you need to flush the data, import with real data before you build the app so your data is correct. Yeah, Tom, that would, yes, yes. Or I could have told it to create with no sample data, right? I could have built the app originally with no sample data. I'm always very pro sample data, right? Because it's easier to build an app when I've got, some data in there to work with. And so the fact that I can get better sample data now that's got, some basis in the real world, I've been happy with. But yeah, one way or another, if you wanted to flush out all those dog breeds and start putting in your own dog breeds, you would have to, or my FAQ, right? Like it was the same type of thing. So. So Kurt asked, as a consultant, how do I see this being useful to my clients in promoting citizen development? So, I mean, I think it's valuable to the customers a lot of ways, right? Like, so there's twofold. One is the same thing I talked about like with my kid learning to build his own app, right? Like so, I do think that if it was a company that was truly trying to empower all of their citizen developers, think about exposing this to people who aren't an IT background that don't have this technical stuff. I do think that teaching them how to kind of write those basic prompts to get them to the point where they could build their own app with that, I think is super powerful. But I think the real one, for the end user is it's this tool, right? It's this ability to start being able to make sense of your own data, feed in your own data, and get questions back. I think this Copilot for the app Copilot, I think is what they call this one. I think this one really empowers the end users. There's another one that I've seen that they haven't talked about publicly yet that will help that even more. That's as much as I'll say. But this is like they've just scratched the surface of what they're going to do. I am super excited for the journey we're going to continue to see. But the other thing is I mean, if people are listening to me, I am just beating them over the head with like, look, you have got to come over here to ChatGPT and you have got to use this thing until you have your aha moments, right? I can talk about it, I can tell you how great it is until I'm blue in the face and you don't care. But if you will start using this and you have that moment, that's when the light bulb comes on and you're like, I can never go back, right? Like I was telling, our marketing people about like, yeah, you're an idiot, right? And then finally they asked it to, help with SEO, or they asked it to analyze whatever or to write whatever. And they had that moment, right? For for one of my customers, he is a lifelong, like he's been the director of IT at a very large company, or he's been whatever. Like, dude is a lifelong IT super nerd. And him and I were on a call the other day. He's like, oh yeah, I gotta fix this SQL view, but I can't remember how to do it. I'm like, look, Armand, open up ChatGPT. He's like, I've never used it. I was like, open it up and tell it what you want. And so he went in and said, make me a view that does blah, blah, blah. I was like, just to humor me. And it spit out the T-SQL that he needed. And he like his jaw just literally dropped, and like he had to hang up and go play. And the next day, he's now a believer. You've got to find your aha moment with it. But once you do, it is so powerful. And if you haven't, I'm not here to plug my videos, but if you have not watched, hang on, let me find it. If you have not watched the video, I'm going to put in the chat right now. This one is my introduction to using ChatGPT with Power Apps, right? And so I show you how it can add code comments for you, how you can use it to manipulate HTML. How many of you stink at writing HTML and you wish there was a better way? Let ChatGPT do it for you. Or are you trying to fix someone else's app? Show it their formula and say, what does this formula do? And it'll explain what their formula does. Like in that video, I show you tangible ways that you could start using ChatGPT today to be better at Power Apps. Like I can't. I'm gonna calm down, but I get really worked up. Brent, do you think AI will start to funnel creativity into a particular direction versus using human intuition and adaptability to find new and original solutions? I don't, Brent. I think that some people, yes, I think for some people, if we're being honest, yes, this is going to put them on a path, but those same people weren't going to do creative things to begin with, right? People that, like you, Brent, that are like thinkers, right? Like you're a super smart dude. I've been around you enough to know that you're a super smart dude. If you start saying, hey, how do I use ChatGPT not to compete with you, but to help you be more awesome? That's where you're going to start to figure out that you can do new things, right? I've got a guy on my team, Daniel, who is just all in. Like he is just in love with it, right? And so he just keeps finding new things to do. Like he wrote, I forget what he did. I think he wrote a PCF control with it. He'd never written PCF control. He's not a developer. But basically he said, hey, ChatGPT, tell me what to do. And then it spit him out code. The code wasn't right. It wasn't perfect, but it was close enough that then Daniel could say, okay, now I could go ask questions about this piece of code. And he was able to work through it. So he took his, adaptability and intuition and just compounded and did what he would have figured out how to do by Googling a bunch of stuff. He just did it 10 times faster. He became the 10x developer doing something because he was using the tool to augment what he did. Here's the other secret I'll give you guys. I am totally on my soapbox now. There's going to be two ways this AI world's going to go, right? There's going to be people that are going to use AI to do what we do today, but do it faster and better, right? So do the same old stuff, same old games, but using AI to do it better. Great, right? The winners, the next billionaire, maybe the first trillionaire, is going to be the people that say, hey, how do I solve that problem with AI, but not doing it the same way we've always done it, rethinking about the problem, solving it in a new way because we've got these new AI capabilities. That's what I really want to be. That's what I want to be. It's what I want you to be, is the person that's not saying, how do I use AI to do the same things I've always done, but do them faster and better, which you should all do, right? We need to start there. But the ones that I'm excited for are the people that say, how do I solve the same problem that we've always solved, but in a new way with AI? Have you tried to use it to decipher a Microsoft error in Power Apps? Kurt, I have shown it formulas that were wrong and said, can you help me fix this? I've had mixed results. Or if you have true error messages, sometimes Bing Chat is better because Bing Chat can interact with the internet. And so Bing Chat will basically go Bing the question, read a bunch of the forums that had the possible answers to that error message, and then surmise you an answer. Things that need to have current information, Bing Chat currently does better. But overall, ChatGPT is still way better than Bing Chat. And Bard is terrible. Don't even bother using it. It literally doesn't work. But Bing Chat, if you need something to go get current things like that, I think it does a good job.